This is Ken Smith reminding you it happened today, April 14th. But the year was 43 BC, and Julius Caesar was assassinated. It was on this day, April 14th, 1792, when France declared war on Austria. It was on this day, April 14th, 1828, that the first American dictionary is published by Noah Webster. It was on this day, 1841, that the first detective story is published. It was published by Edgar Allan Poe, Murders in the Rue Morgue. It was on this day, April 14th, 1865, when John Wilkes Booth stood behind President Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theater and assassinated Lincoln. It was on this day, April 14th, 1894, that Thomas Edison showed the first public showing of a moving picture. It was on this day, April 14th, 1902, that J.C. Penney opens his first store. It was on this day, April 14th, 1912, when the Titanic hit an iceberg at 11:40 p.m. It was on this day, April 14th, 1939, that John Steinbeck's novel, The Grapes of Wrath, is published. It was on this day, April 2003, that the Human Genome Project is completed, with 99% of the human genome sequence completed to an accuracy of 99.99%. It was on this day, 2019, just a year ago, the 83rd U.S. Masters Tournament in Augusta, Georgia. And the winner, for the fifth time, Tiger Woods. But that was April 14th in the past. Today, April 14th, 2020, we face a viral pandemic. Christopher Petrilli from the NYU Grossman School just published a paper. Scientists have been poring over data to understand the factors that lead to the significant increase in death. To this point, the focus was on age. But now, having completed one of the largest studies, they have found that the leading indicator of death due to the virus is obesity. In Russia, government officials are issuing 800,000 digital permits that will be used by people to travel. They'll be monitored. But hackers have already broken into the government websites and they have secured the passes for themselves, while legitimate applicants are not able to get a pass despite multiple attempts. These work passes will be valid through April 30th, when the government will possibly extend or renew. In the meantime, police patrols in Moscow will be able to check the passes on the streets and fine people for violations. Who's exempt? Government officials. Armed forces personnel, local municipal officials. The digital permit system may be expanded to monitor people going out on foot, even within their neighborhood. Under strict confinement, the rules apply to people in Moscow. They're only allowed to leave their homes to walk their dogs, take out the trash, and visit nearby shops. In countries like France and Bolivia, the government has postponed elections. Peru handed its president broad new legislative authority. Israel has sharply ramped up the reach of its surveillance. While leaders around the world are fighting the spread of the virus, at the same time, they're amassing sweeping new powers. As legislatures limit or suspend activities in the name of social distancing, many of the norms that define democracy, elections, deliberation, debate, checks and balances, have been put on indefinite hold. And the speed and the breadth of these changes is quite unsettling, especially for political scientists who are looking over and caring about the process. Many concede, of course, that these emergency declarations and streamlining of government decision-making are necessary responses to the global threat. But they also question how readily leaders will be willing to give up their newly found powers once the virus has eventually subsided. So what can we do? Well, it seems quite limited, doesn't it? But there are two things that you can do right now. According to a study by the University of California, Davis, and corroborated by the University of Oregon, there are two things that you can do right now. I'd like you to get up right now, and number one, open the windows of your house and let the air circulate freely. Number two, open the blinds. Let the sun shine in. Those two things, if we all did it regularly, fresh air and allowing light into our lives, would shorten the life of this virus. These are, as Job said, difficult times, that life is full of trouble. But like Job, may each of us also have the peace to be able to say, even if the Lord would slay me, yet will I trust in him. This is Ken Smith, reminding you it happened today, April 14th, 2020.